Baxter, Steve Nikorak. We're at Zone Sports Academy. We're both sporting our new long sleeve Dominate the Diamond tops. So fired up. Everyone's used to seeing us wearing red, but we're wearing black today. And we have a lot of really cool topics that we're going to be talking about. Coach Steve, you want to go over a little rundown of some of the topics and some of the things that we're going to be talking about that they can be ready for?
We're going to touch on the winter blues, and we're all going through it right now. We're stuck inside. You know, we're trying to get creative with our practice plans, but we're only in so much space. You know, a lot of times we're in a practice with 12 kids, we're just in one cage, or we might only have the field for 30 minutes, and just trying to be as efficient and as productive as possible while we're at practice. I actually had a softball lesson yesterday, and her dad was mentioning, he's like, man, we just got to get outside and play. You know, I'm trying to do whatever I can to keep practice fun and keep it engaging, and it's challenging, right? We're getting a couple weeks from opening day. You know, high school tryouts start up here. I think March 7th is report day for pitchers and catchers, so we're getting really close, but we just got to make sure we finish strong, you know, over these next couple weeks and really keep practice fun and engaging, and we prep these guys and get them ready to go for opening day.
We got some really good stuff as we're going to talk about dynamic warm-up. We have Coach Ray DeLeon. We have a video that we have in a bunch of our courses about just how to properly get your team warmed up. And another hot topic is a lot of times people are inside and they're asking the question, how do we get our players ready for higher velocities, higher speeds? We're just doing some front toss. How do we get our hitters ready for faster pitching?
Yep.
So those are three of the topics that we're gonna dive into. Before we start, just make sure people are signing in right now. You in the comments section, make sure you put your questions. We're going to give answers, and if we don't get to all the questions today, we'll make sure that throughout the week we're popping out YouTube videos, Instagram videos, Facebook videos. Everybody's been seeing that we've been sending out more emails. We've been adding drills and drills and drills into our membership, so that's constantly growing. We're almost at 800 videos in our membership now, so everything's constantly growing, getting better, and we love the questions because that's what fuels us to come up with the topics, wanting to know what coaches are wondering, what coaches need, whether you're a first-time coach or you're a seasoned coach. Us all talking about, and especially in the chat, people are asking questions. Some coaches are giving some of their answers. We're giving answers. So it's really a good community, that we've built. We also have the Dominate the Diamond exclusive Facebook page that we just hit over 8,000 coaches, softball and baseball coaches in that. So that's another really good place to get some of the nuggets of information for you coaches out there. So we love when you put in the comments where you're checking in from, what country, what state, what age are you coaching, and are you a beginner, advanced, what kind of coach are you? So as you start putting stuff in there, that'll help us drive our questions and things that we're going to talk about. One of the things that I'd like to talk about right off the bat, Coach Steve, is we were getting the question a couple times yesterday about teams, coaches, that their players are going from coach pitch to player pitch. And a lot of the players are afraid once another player's pitching to them, they're bailing out. They're afraid of the ball. They're afraid to get hit. They don't even know what it's like to get hit. So in our practice, our 11U practice, we're actually going over that in our practice plan. How to get hit by the ball properly, how on an inside pitch, how do we turn and get out of the way of the ball so we don't just freeze and get whacked in the face or get hit in the stomach, how we kind of turn and tuck and all that stuff. And it's all part of, the more confidence they have with how to get hit properly, and then it's like, oh, that's not so bad. Yeah, it's gonna hurt. Yeah. But do you want to talk a little bit about one of your personal stories about that?
I think that's one of the most challenging thing for younger players is, they get hit once and now they're so afraid to get hit by the next pitch. The only thing that they're concerned with in the batter's box is not getting hit. Not hitting the ball, not, driving a double in the gap, but what do I got to do to get through this at bat and not get hit because they're so afraid. So just like Duke mentioned, I think teaching them how to get hit properly, starting off with tennis balls or incrediballs or smush balls and getting them used to turning in, tucking their face away, dropping the barrel, teaching them the correct way to actually get hit is step one. Step two is while you're doing front toss or batting practice, maybe mixing in one of those incrediballs and throwing one at them. just to teach them, again, how to get out of the way and understand that they have enough time. I think the struggle is that, you're only going to get hit a handful of times a season, maybe. You might not get hit once. But we try to tell our players, don't be afraid and don't waste at bats worrying about getting hit by the ball. I had an experience in 2015. It was my last year in the minor leagues. About halfway through the season, and I took a fastball 92 right off my cheek. So I got hit. It actually broke 15 bones in my face. It broke my eye socket, my cheekbone, part of my jaw. My nose was broken. And, it was just, I was looking fastball middle of the way. He ran a two-seamer up and in, and it got me. Similar to, Giancarlo Stanton got hit. Bryce Harper got hit last year. It was just one of those freak accidents. And I remember coming back and being afraid. Not necessarily afraid in the batter's box, but I remember even taking ground balls. I was a little hesitant. I got surgery. They did like all reconstructive stuff to the left side of my face. And I came back. I got like the little extension to my earpiece. And, what I did was I just got in and shadowed a lot of bullpens. Before the games, while I was still rehabbing, pitchers were getting loose. I was standing in there just working on my timing. And I think it was more mental than anything. But, just trusting the fact that I wasn't going to let a past experience bother me. And I was 22 years old at the time when that happened. So just imagine an 8-year-old, getting hit in the head for the first time, or getting drilled in March when it's freezing outside. It is. It's scary for a kid. They're nervous. They don't want to get hit by that next pitch. And it was something that I had to overcome at 22, let alone a younger kid trying to overcome that at a younger age. So it's just one of those challenging things, coaches. Make sure you teach them how to get hit. Teach them how to get out of the way properly, and then, transition into batting practice where, you're throwing some balls up and in. And once they know that they can get out of the way, and of course it's going to sting. It's going to sting for, 30 seconds. It's going to sting for a minute. But once they can get past that and move on, I think, it's going to help a lot better than, them being in the batter's box all season, being nervous to get hit. And then I think, Duke, you always touch on it. It's funny about when a kid gets hit by a ball, not having every single coach and parent run out onto the field and freak out all at once. Like, are you okay? Are you okay? You've gone through that with your son, I think.
Yeah, I think that part's really important, is to try to help them what's supposed to happen. If you have a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old and they get hit by the ball and they go down and every single coach comes running out and they're, checking on them, you'll see the tears flying. You see some coach like, oh, come sit down. Like, no, that's not what you do. Instead, as soon as they get hit by the ball, you say, hustle down. Once they sprint down to first base, now the first base coach can put his arm around him and check on him. And, but that's part of the game is, getting hit by the ball and seeing. A lot of times the anticipation of getting hit is way worse than actually getting hit by the ball. So like Coach Steve said, throwing some smush balls, teaching them how to get out of the way, working in some of the softy balls in the hard ball bucket. I mean, I have a son that when he was 8 years old, he got hit right in the chin, and to get him back in the batter's box was really challenging. So we put that face mask on him, and he still wears it. He's 11 years old, and if he feels more comfortable with the face mask on, so be it. Who am I to say, oh, you don't need that anymore? Heck, if he's going to go up there and rip the ball because he's got the face mask on, now he's just asking for the single guard. So it's like, okay, well, in time, they'll move on and move past that. But, it's not up to us to be like, oh, you'll be fine. Oh, don't worry about it. It's like the kid that's afraid that there's a monster under his bed. You can't just say there's no monster. You turn the light on, you look under the bed, and there's no monster there, and they go right to sleep. But if you just start screaming and yelling and don't worry about it, get over it, it's all fake. Like, it just doesn't work like that. So getting hit by the ball is definitely a fear, as is, we see the questions coming in now about even pitchers that are afraid to hit the batter. That's another monster thing. Oh, my son throws really hard when he's pitching or when he's with me, then all of a sudden the batter goes in there and he goes from throwing 50 to 35, or he goes from throwing 60 to 40. Like, why in the world is he throwing? It happens. Kids have that. So it's, well, how do we help them overcome the fear of that? Instead, focus on the catcher's mitt, find focus, hit your spot, tune out. And it's all teaching and learning, and that's part of our job as a coach is to do that. So
yeah, we got a good question from our boy Joey Bass. I have an 8U kid that's a monster, but I can't get him to be on time regularly and hit the ball out in front. What's your best drill to get his timing down? That's a good one because it kind of transitioned into what we were talking about today. We wanted to talk about timing, and we wanted to talk about, leading up to the season and how to teach timing. And Joey, I think a good thing for you is to always, we talk about it every week, but simulate live games in practice, whether it's pitching machine, whether it's a kid pitching from 46, 50, or 60 feet, but get him as much live at bats as possible, shadowing the bullpens. A couple small drills that I like to do. I'm just going to back up here a little bit. When kids are getting loaded and they're working on their timing for the first time, I see a lot of kids, they're late, so they get rushed. And what I mean by that is they wait in the batter's box, that ball's already on its way to them, and then I call it crashing, but they kind of just crash late, and then their bats enter in the zone too late, and they're just rushing to contact. So one thing I like to do is I try to get our hitters to replicate the same rhythm and the same kind of tempo in their load every time. So you can even have your player get in the batter's box and even count out loud. Kind of count 1, 2, and we're going to fire on 3. And just have them say that while you're doing front toss, and then maybe you back up and you're throwing batting practice, and it's 1, 2, right? So that's just an easy way to have them kind of feel and understand the rhythm of it. It's going to change from time to time because some pitchers, they might throw slow and they might have a big leg kick in their windup and they might be slow to the plate. Other pitchers might get up there, come set, and do a slide step to home plate. So the whole purpose of our timing or any timing drill we do is when do we start our load? I hear coaches all the time say, get your foot down, get your foot down. That's great, but not if we're not starting on time. I was listening to, I want to say it was JD Martinez and Manny Ramirez actually said the same thing in the past. And he said, coaches that say get your foot down, they only focus on getting started on time, right? Because if my load is going to be the same 1, 2, and I'm firing on 3, as long as I lift my leg for my little leg kick or toe tap or whatever your guy likes to do, they will be on time. But if they start late and they get rushed, yeah, my foot's down on time, but I don't have any rhythm. I'm not really on time with the pitcher. So I do like that cadence drill. We've done the 3-plate drill, working on, a slow pitcher, an average pitcher, and a fast pitcher, or, breaking ball, changeup, fastball. But I think counting out loud might help. I get a lot of kids, especially at that age, 8 years old, 9 years old, and they don't really understand the concept of timing too well. So I think that's a good one. I would also just try to replicate in-game situations as much as possible. Get them in there seeing live pitching, show them some video. You can even stand behind the batter's box and say, all right, we're going to start now. And they might start to understand and feel, just that smooth 1, 2, and go. And also let them swing. Just, go up there ready to swing. I had a player yesterday, and I said to them, what's our approach? We're talking about approach. We're looking at fastball middle away, outer half of the plate. And the whole purpose of it was, at the plate, we want to think I'm swinging until it's not a fastball middle away. Not I'm going to swing if it's a fastball middle away. Right? They kind of sound the same, but this hitter was in there, and they're just being too selective. And it's almost like they were getting beat, but they weren't really being aggressive. So I was telling the player, every single pitch at home plate, we are ready to hit. We are swinging. It's like the yes, yes, no mentality. So they were in the batter's box, and I'm swinging until it's not that fastball middle away, not I'm going to wait to see the pitch and then make up my mind whether or not it's a ball or strike. So I think that aggressive mentality, as well as making sure we start on time and, doing the smooth 1, 2, 3 should help.
And I also think, to add to that, I think that a lot of coaches think the players know what timing is and know how to be on time. I know one of the things that Coach Steve's always done with his team is, even before the game, you have the hitters are watching the bullpen. They're working on their timing with the pitcher of the other opposing team, and then also getting them in a semicircle and then pretending like you're going to pitch to them and watching them get ready and get set. I think those are just a bunch of ways that you can continue to work on timing and setup and those sort of things, during practice, during the game, during pregame, post, all those things. So there's a lot of ways to work on timing and those sort of things. So I know another one of the main topics that we wanted to talk about was the dynamic warm-up. We have a question actually right here from Coach Brandon Brown. He's from the 11U Dinger Nation. said we're playing in our first tournament. It's gonna be 40 degrees. What's a really good way to get our team warmed up? So I know that we have inside our membership, and all of our courses have this dynamic warm-up routine, and this is something that's very basic, very simple, but it's like a jog down, high knee drills, butt kicks, side shuffles, karaokes, Frankenstein, single leg RDLs, some back pedals, some different types of game plans, which get us 5 to 10 minute warm-ups. But to dive a little bit deeper in why and what, we put together the video that Coach DeLeon has, and he also created a course for us. It's called the 60-yard dash. So it's to help your players get faster, how to get better starts, and those sort of things. So we put together a little video here. So take a look at this, and this will definitely help you out with the dynamic warm-up.
How you doing, guys? This is Coach Ray DeLeon, the strength and conditioning coach over here at Zone Sports Academy. I'm going to talk about our standardized warm-up that we do for all of our players. We separate into 3 parts, where it is prep, second is ground-based dynamic, and third is build-up. From there, those 3 subjects will then determine how well we're going to move and then prepare us for the game or practice.
So that was an awesome display of hopefully all you coaches were writing down some notes, were taking some notes on the drills. But all the different stations or all the different drills that we were talking about, you can mix those up, you can match them up, you can do different things. But to answer Coach's question also is you want to make sure they get a sweat going, right? You want to make sure that they're sweating as they're getting ready to throw and head out into the field. It's not just, a couple arm circles, I do a couple high knees, and it's like, okay. Instead, it's if you watch that video right there, by the end, Coach is going to have some sweat drops coming from his eyebrows. Your kid should be ready to now perform, especially when it's 40 degrees and it's cold out. You want to make sure that they're ready to go. So hopefully that helped.
I'll add a little piece to that. Coach, I think, when you get to the field too, a lot of times there's just one batting cage, or there's just, maybe 2 cages, and there's not a lot of space to do hitting. So after you do your dynamic warm-up and you go through that and the kids are sweating, now once you go over to the cage, try your best to not just have one kid hitting at once. And again, it's challenging, but if you can get creative and get a small bow net, get an extra tee, get some smush balls, get some wiffle balls, try to create as many stations as possible so the kids are getting a ton of swings. And it doesn't even really have to be manned by a coach. You can have wiffle balls off a tee, you can have smush ball, home run derby, and then you can have front toss or batting practice in the cage. But it's one thing that I added in with my team recently was, multiple hitting stations, and then if you don't have all that stuff, take 6 kids and hit while the other 6 kids are working on their fielding progressions. They could be doing some ladders, they can be doing some cones, but just to get their glove work and their footwork warmed up, just to whatever you got to do to keep those kids moving, because you can go through that whole warm-up and then go hit, and you got 11 kids standing in a line waiting to hit, and it's 40 degrees outside and they're cold all over again. So just be creative, get as many props as you can. I have wiffle balls, I have smush balls, I have the heavy balls, I have a tee, and I just try to get the kids as many swings and as loose as possible. This way by first pitch they're ready to roll.
Let's go with Coach Treff. He has a really good question. It says, what age jump between 8U and 14U seems to be the biggest jump for the kids? So I think every coach is going to say their age. And why do I say that? And that is because when you go from 7 to 8, and I'm speaking of New Jersey, I know that every state's different. I was talking to a guy the other day, we were talking to a guy that's, he's got an 8U team and they're already leading and stealing. So I guess every state really is different, but here it's 7 to 8 goes from coach pitch to player pitch. So there's a lot of different challenges in that, right? The speed of the game slows down. When the coaches are throwing, they're always throwing strikes. Kids are hitting the ball and the game stays kind of fast. Once player pitch happens, there's not as many strikes. There's more, standing around. It's, so that's a little bit challenging. Then you go from 10 to 11, which now there's leading and stealing and first and third plays and bunt coverages. And so the whole game changes from 10 to 11. And then from 12 to 13, now you're moving up to the big field. And now the game's a whole different game. So if you were to ask us which one is the hardest, I don't know which one's the hardest. I think they're all hard in their own way. There's a lot more that you have to know as a coach going from 10 to 11, because you need to know how to teach pickoffs and how to teach secondary leads and how to lead in first and thirds. And, there's so much more to teach from a coaching standpoint. From 7 to 8, you have to know pitching and teaching kids how to throw. So there's not as much. And then in the big field, there's not as much that you have to teach, but it's just the game itself changes. The kids are much smaller going to a much bigger field. So now it's like double cuts. It's, you're dealing more with the emotional breakdowns of kids that are used to hitting 35 home runs a year to barely being able to hit the ball to the infield. So that becomes super challenging. Pitchers, that's a whole nother ball game, because when you're going 50, 70 and they're throwing, okay, fine. Now you move them back to 60, 90, and now almost every throw is almost a max out. Every throw across the diamond is almost a max throw. The outfielders, they're max throws. So you can't throw that same pitcher 6 innings that you would throw on the small field. Now he goes in a big field and he's barely getting out of 2 innings. That's because the volume is so much greater and so much more taxing. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I think I did answer it in a couple different ways, and why I feel the different phases of the game are challenging in their own. But again, it also depends on the rules of the game and the state that you're in and the tournament that you're in. I think that changes a lot as well.
I think that was spot on. Me just coaching the 13U age level a lot, I would have said 13U, but then hearing Duke's perspective on, and he's coached, his sons at that 7, 8, all the way up through 12U, and those are challenging times. From coach pitch to player pitch, there's so many changes. From player pitch to 50, 70, so many changes. I always struggle at the 13U age group just because of the size and the maturity of the players. They're going up to that big field for the first time. The game is the same, but every single throw from shortstop is like when you're on the little field, it's like throwing from center field to home plate. So that was always the challenging part for me. But again, each age group and each, tier up is going to bring its own challenges. I think it's a great question, though.
Me too. I think this is a good question. Coach Thomas having a really hard time, and he's checking in from Georgia, having a really hard time having my 9U kids apply the drills that we go over. How can I get them to apply what's being taught? I think that's a really good question, Coach Thomas. And, an example that I would use is last week we did a practice, and our practice was teaching the players, number one, how to do a secondary lead. Offensively, when the ball's hit up, if I'm on second base and the ball's hit to the shortstop or third baseman, how far I go and what I actually do to get back to the bag, or what am I waiting for to go to third? And we were also doing it from a defensive standpoint of how to check the runner, throw it to first. Like, there's a lot of things going on. It just seems simple to us, like, hey, just check 2, go 1. Well, you have to teach them what that even means. What's checking 2? Do I just look at them? Do I have to shuffle at them? Do I just kind of peek at them? And then the runners at second, they're not, since they're 11, they're not used to being able to lead. So their secondary leads put them in a whole new, different realm of where they're standing when the ball's hit to that side. Usually they're stuck on the base because at 10U they're on the base. So when the ball's hit to the shortstop, they're really barely ever getting to third because they don't have that monster, that jump that they have. So it's almost like you're teaching a skill, but then you have to combo it so that they can actually see how it's applicable in the game. So I think those are some of the things that you can do to really help the kids. It's, okay, we're gonna do a ladder drill fielding to get your feet moving really quick. And now we're gonna do the defend the castle drill where you have cones on either side of you. And now I'm gonna rapid fire toss balls. That's why we're moving our feet the way we are, is so that you can move quickly from side to side, and then you hit them a ground ball and watch them move through the ball. So it's kind of like a progression of things. So I think that would really help you and your coaches, making sure that your coaches understand what's going on. Because when we ran our practice, there was 5 coaches just yelling all different things until we had to stop them and then just kind of let the kids see what they could do on their own, opposed to every time the ball's hit, we all want to help coach. We're like, go, 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 check, check, check. We're just screaming things, and the kids that are actually getting the ball are like looking around, they're trying to figure out what to, let them mess up when they get done, come to the side and be like, okay, make sure on that situation, check, and here's how, so let them mess up and fail first so that they can learn from those mistakes, not just having to listen to what we're telling them, and then, or else they're never going to be able to apply it the way that you want them to, because they're just waiting to hear us say, tell them what to do, opposed to letting them play. They have to play the game, okay? Not just listen to you and kind of do that.
That's one thing that I love to do when I'm at practice is if we're doing like a simulated game or we're doing a coach pitch scrimmage at practice, I'll have my coach throw and I'll walk around the field and I'll just talk to the players. Like, hey, what are you thinking right now in this situation? Just to kind of get in their head, and you'll get some funny answers sometimes because kids will have either no clue or they'll say, I just don't want the ball hit to me, or I'm thinking about not making an error, whatever it is. They might be thinking about what they're having for dinner after practice, but getting in their head a little bit and saying, what are you thinking about on this play? This situation, the ball's hit to you, what are you going to do? I love doing that. I love roaming the field, and I think it's an important part of practice, making sure that our coaches are spread out. Because, you stick 4 coaches in the dugout, just like Coach Duke just said, they're all yelling 4 different things. It's like they're in there playing a video game, and the kids are just, the people out on the field that they're trying to control. So, like he said, kind of letting them play the game. But I think that's a great question right there. And I think all of us struggle with it. I struggle with it at practice myself, trying to give our kids some homework to take home, and apply what they learned at practice at home. And, we always wrap up our classes and our team practices with like a brief recap of what did we cover today. All right, good. Let's focus on these 2 things during the week. Even if you spend 2 minutes at night, working on your pick series or maybe working on your lead. This way, next practice, we don't have to start all over and reteach the same exact thing from week to week. So, applying it in practice and then also getting them to apply it at home, I think is a challenge in itself.
Another good question we have, one of the coaches was asking Coach Jim, what is your advice for using a pitching machine? Start slow and move the speed up, or start at one age-appropriate speed and stay there? I don't think there's any right or wrong answer in this. I would say set it up slow, let the kids start hitting, let them build their confidence up, slowly crank it up a little bit, let them hit that, let them then start cranking it up till it's age appropriate, and even maybe a little faster than that. Get them to fail a little bit and challenge them a little bit, and then you can slow it back down again and kind of get them back on. So I don't think there's anything wrong with going a little on the slower side to start with, to build up some confidence, and then speed it up. Why not do that? So many times you see coaches go into a practice and they're like, oh, let's crank it up to 70. And the kids are going in there, they're whiffing, they're embarrassed, they're swinging and missing. I mean, not many kids can crush the ball off the machine, right? Some of us don't like the machine at all. So why not start slower, build them up, have everybody start crushing the ball, speed it up, crush the ball, speed it up, and kind of work that way, opposed to, oh, we have to hurry up and just get the swings in and let's set it up and see how fast we can put it at. That's my take on it.
That's a great answer there. And I use the pitching machine a lot this time of year, leading up to tryouts. So, kids are getting ready to see velocity outside. The only way we can, somewhat replicate that inside is using a pitching machine from 60 feet. So again, like Duke said, I'll start off nice and slow. As we get closer to the season, I'll speed it up. We'll mix in breaking balls. We'll mix in lefty curveballs, righty curveballs, and I really try to challenge them in here. And my way of saying it is, I'd rather you guys fail now in February and then get outside. Already had seen, fastballs. You've already seen breaking balls from the right and left side, and you're really just putting some pressure on them. But definitely starting off, you want to build their confidence. I had a lesson last night, and he came in, and I asked him if he wanted to do the pitching machine, and he said no because he hates it. And I said, well, why? He's like, I can just never time it up. I was like, well, let's go. We're gonna do the pitching machine, and we're gonna figure it out. So we started off slow, and little by little, I started to turn it up and turn it up and turn it up. And he had one of his best rounds ever after telling me in the beginning of the lesson he hated it. And it's probably just, a fear of, man, my buddies are watching and I just swung and missed 8 times in a row. That's not fun for anybody. But there is a lot of value in using the pitching machine. And, like Duke said, start off nice and easy, build their confidence, and then eventually crank that thing up. Major leaguers do it all the time. And they don't love it, but they just use it to train their eyes and get used to seeing balls travel from, 60 feet versus nice close batting practice.
Coach Steve, one of the things that I love about doing these lives is we have no idea what the questions are going to be. We read them off the board as you all are sending them into us, and I don't know what he's going to answer. He doesn't know what I'm going to answer. We really don't know what each other's going to say, and we're just firing through. So just so you know that these are, sometimes we're reading these and just like, whoa, that's an interesting question. I never thought about that. Here's what I think. Here's what you think. So that kind of leads me up to the next one, and that's Coach Matthew. What is your philosophy on taking the first pitch in manager pitch where you get 4 good pitches per at bat? So
I don't know if it's manager pitch or machine pitch. I was trying to figure that one out.
Okay. Or machine pitch where you're going to get 4 good pitches per at bat. So I don't know what age that is, but I'm imagining if it's machine pitch, or they're probably younger. If he was 14 years old and you were asking me, should he take the first pitch right down the middle? You think that's a good idea? I would have a different answer than if you're asking about this. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having a kid go up and really time a ball and let one go by and then get ready to hit. I mean, if he's 7 or 8 years old, who cares?
It's machine pitch.
Oh, it's machine pitch. So they're all just learning how to do that anyway. So having them watch a pitch first, not like this and watching the ball go by, but really kind of timing it up and seeing what it's like. I don't see a problem with that.
No, I don't think so either. Especially at that age, they might be afraid of hitting the pitching machine as well. So getting in there, timing it up, but also teach those guys at a young age what the purpose of being on deck is, and what the purpose of the in-the-hole batter is. And that's just, I'm standing off to the side and I'm really working on my timing. I'm locked in, and again, 7-8U, they're tough to control in the dugout. They're usually hanging from the roof of the dugout and, playing games with water bottles, so I get it completely. So when my guys were younger, I would always set up 2 cones. There was an on-deck cone and an in-the-hole cone. The on-deck batter had his bat, his batting gloves were on, he had his helmet on, and his only job was to just time up the pitcher. Yeah, take some swings to get loose, but we're really just working on timing up that pitcher. The guy in the hole, he was mostly in the dugout at that point. He would just have his helmet on, and he would just hold his thumb like this, and he would work on his timing because we didn't want him swinging in the dugout. But it kind of gives them the idea of what the purpose of on deck versus in the hole, even 3 batters away, what their job is, and it's to time up that pitcher. But yeah, 7-8U, by all means, take that first pitch and time it up and build some confidence. Now, when they get older, I saw a funny quote yesterday, and he said, I see a lot of times people say quality at bats or 7, 8 pitch at bats. He goes, but that doesn't count if you go up there and take strike 1 and strike 2 down the middle. Then the pitcher throws a wild pitch, he throws another one in the dirt, you foul a couple off. So at the older ages, I'm a big believer in attacking that first pitch fastball and being ready to hit early in the count.
That's good. That's good. Joey Bassett has a good question. When do you guys start with leading off and stealing? I mean, in Louisiana, as soon as the pitchers are allowed to pitch, just like they do in California, they're allowed to lead and steal. I think it's challenging because it's so much to teach the kids. There's so much to learn at that age that trying to teach them how to do picks and leads and steals and first and thirds, like, it's so overwhelming. So I do realize that they have to learn sometime, but man, at 8 and 9 years old, that's just a lot of stuff to have to go over. So I agree, it's a lot, but just chunk it in small little pieces, and I think that'll be good. You want to go to Jonathan Hyde's question, or do you have another one up top that you wanted to go through first?
Yeah, you got William there. 14U kids with strong arms but having trouble hitting the strike zone. What kind of drill can I do to make it easier for them when they're on the mound? One thing I like to do, I have a 16U team now. I always talk to my guys about aim small, miss small, and picking out their target before they throw it. Not necessarily where they want the pitch to finish, but where they want to start this pitch. And when I say aim small, miss small, dude, can I see your glove real quick? What I'll do is I'll actually have our pitcher get up on the mound, and when they're getting ready to throw a fastball, let's just say they're throwing a fastball right down the middle. Instead of hoping that they're going to hit the glove, or instead of hoping that they're going to throw a strike, I want them to pick out something small. So it might be the little R in Rawlings, or it might be this little lace right here. But they're laser focused on that small target, right? If I'm aiming for this lace and I miss by a foot, it's still going to be a strike. But if I'm just aiming for the catcher and I miss by a foot, now I'm aiming, I'm missing in this huge area where who knows where the ball is going to go. So I love aim small, miss small, and really picking out a location on where we want to start the pitch. And I even tell our guys that for, whether we're throwing a two-seamer or we're throwing a changeup or a breaking ball, right? If I want to throw my curveball and I want to throw it for a strike right here, well, I don't want to aim at the glove, because if I start that curveball at the glove, there's a good chance it's going to go in the dirt. So again, aim small, miss small, catcher set up here. I might be starting my curveball at the top of the catcher's face mask. I'm still throwing it hard. I want to throw it with intent. I want to throw it, to throw a strike. I'm not guiding it in there, but I'm going to start it right here so it finishes there. If it's an 0-2 count and I want to throw a curveball in the dirt, I'm not going to try to bounce it. I'm going to pick out something small on the bottom of the catcher's glove and throw the crap out of it, and hopefully that looks like a strike coming in, and then it breaks out of the zone. But that's always been one thing that really helps with me, even for position players, not being able to, control where the ball's going. We talk a lot about their footwork and making sure that their feet are moving towards their target, but just when you're playing catch before practice, always do it with a purpose. A lot of kids will just go down the line and they'll just start, whatever, just to get loose, throwing balls all over the place. In practice, we try to create competitions. We'll go fast hands competitions, see who can do 10 quick transfers, in a row. We'll do relay race competitions, target competitions. Always make a competition or a challenge out of everything you do at practice. But before the games, when they're playing catch, do it with a purpose. We're trying to throw it in this box right here, right? There's no reason we can't hit our partner right there every single time. Now, when they get to the game, they don't have to flip that switch and all of a sudden try really hard. They've been practicing before the game. Their throwing program's done with a purpose. They're not just playing catch just to get loose, right? They're throwing baseballs and getting loose to get ready to play in the game. So I hope those two help.
That's good. And a lot of the drills and a lot of the conversations and a lot of the templates and the practice plans, all this stuff can be viewed for free in our membership. We have a 7-day free membership. Like I said before, there's almost 800 drills in there. We have pitching courses, catching course, the whole 9 yards. You get everything from T-ball all the way to the advanced stuff. So you can click the link, get our membership, try it out. You can sort through everything. We have post-workout stuff. We have speed workouts, pitching stuff. We have arm care, everything and anything you can think of. If you have a catcher that needs specific things, Brandon Martirano put together an awesome catching course that does everything from blocking to throwdowns to how to field bunts, all that stuff. So check out our membership, go through it, sort through it all, and you'll get a chance to see a lot of the stuff that we have and we've put together all inside that app, so you can access it on the field, in your office, anywhere and anywhere. So hopefully that helps. Coach Steve, one of the other main topics that we wanted to talk about was the winter blues. Those practices that you're inside, and we hear it all the time of, what do we do when, we have 10 weeks of practices, we only have an hour, we have one batting cage, we have 14 kids. So we've many times talked about how to break the stations up, how to use our field utilization charts that we have, how to break up the cages into many small little drills to work on even in one batting cage. But another thing that we always do is we always build in competitions, whether it's a team competition, which is the entire team, how fast can we get to 20 points? Group competitions. Okay, we're gonna go U4, U4, and U4, and we're gonna do a certain drill, a certain competition. And then we also have individual competitions. And the reason why we like to do that, not only because it's fun and the kids get to compete and it always adds a little spice into our practice, but it gives us a chance to talk to those kids that maybe have bad attitudes or aren't good teammates, or if we can work on some of those things in the winter time, we can kind of scrape through and peel off some of the onion to help some of those kids that now all of a sudden we get into a game, and now when they strike out, maybe they're not slamming their helmet on the ground and whipping their gloves and doing that stuff, because we kind of handled it early on of how we want to the culture of our team, what we expect, what is a good teammate, how do we bounce back after a loss, or you made it all the way to the finals in our ground ball competition and you lost and you just start crying and don't know how to keep yourself together. Those are perfect teaching moments for us as coaches to be able to talk to all the kids and figure out who those kids are on our team that maybe need a little extra TLC, or we can forecast it before they have a meltdown or blow up. So competitions are a great way to use that, not only for fun, but to help with the ability of being a coach and a mentor to educate them on how to handle those situations. And I know that during COVID, we were inside, we were closed, and Coach Steve and I put together this monster fun 10 different competitions in one day. We were doing throwing competitions, just really creating some cool things that we'll share with you. We'll make sure that we add those videos. But it was just a way to say, hey, did you ever think about this drill? Did you ever think of defend the castle, or wall ball, or throw the ball through the tire, or smush ball so there's so many different fun things. And I think that we always say that practice is for the coaches. That's our time to teach them and grind them and get them to run and work out and train, and the game's the fun time. That's for them to, hey, enjoy the game, go have fun, and then we're gonna we'll work the grind out when we're in practice, but hey, right now it's everything that we taught, let's go. So that's those are some things about the winter blues that could help them.
No, that's awesome, and I think so much of it is leading up to the season. You almost want to set a progression for your team and talk to your assistant coaches about not getting monotonous and doing the same thing from week to week. That's where it gets boring. Right? If we've got 8 weeks in January and February to lead up to opening day, well, we've got to make them 8 weeks that kind of build one on top of the other, and we progress closer and closer to the season. And talk to your kids about that. All right, guys, next week in practice, we're going to cover this. We're going to do this competition at the end of the next practice if we can work really hard for the first 45 minutes, and then in 3 weeks, we're going to go live. It gives the kids something to look forward to. And then you say, we got opening day, we've got tryouts coming up here in 3 weeks. So, it's that build up, it's the constant preparing for practice, writing down the practice plan, showing up to practice ready to go, keeping the kids moving, keeping them having fun, and building one on top of the other, leading up to opening day to build that fire and excitement within your team as opposed to, you know, what's the easy way and the easy route, and that's showing up to practice, hitting fungos, taking some swings in the cage, and then they go home and they come back the next week and do it all over again. So get creative, you know, get with your assistant coaches and really map out, you know, your week to week progression leading up to opening day. And like Duke said, create as many competitions, as many fun drills as you can, and you'll see those kids. They're going to be locked in and engaged for your full hour and a half, however long you're there.
We're gonna show a video that we did with John Madden from You Go Pro Baseball, and Coach Steve and I were talking about T-ball and how challenging it is to keep their attention, keep them excited, keep them engaged. So we're gonna show you a video that we did, and we got so many compliments of coaches at the 12U, 14U, 16U level saying, hey, I saw the T-ball just, but man, my guys love those. Or hey, our high school team did those videos and did those drills, and man, they had so much fun doing it. So coaches, just because you see a drill and you see a T-ball kid doing it doesn't mean that a 14, 15, 16-year-old can't do it. And if you watch before the World Series and you had Coach Washington hitting ground balls with guys using flat pads in the major leagues on their knees, little fungos, doing bounces and flips, and like the whole game is that.
Well, I saw a post the other day, and it was a college baseball program, and you know how we do our smush ball off the head drill, where you throw the smush ball up in the air and the catcher or whoever has to run underneath it just to get them to use their feet. Well, a college coach had a hack attack. He was shooting pop-ups straight up in the air, and the player had to run and drop the bucket where he thought the ball was going to land. And they were going crazy. The ball was like just missing the bucket or just hitting the lip of the bucket, but just about the flight of the fly ball. And he said that practice can be fun sometimes. And he was talking about the importance of making that competition. And it was so hard to do, right? They had a regular little bucket that coaches sit on. They would run, they would drop it and get out of the way, and hopefully the ball landed in the bucket. But it's just a fun way, the same way we do the smush ball drill with the little guys. You know, those are college baseball players working on stuff like that.
Yeah. So let's check out this video. We're going to show it to you right now. Watch how much fun we're having as adults working on some of the drills that we would do with the youngsters.
What's going on, guys? Coach Madden, YouGoProBaseball.com, here again at Zone Sports Academy, Bridgewater, New Jersey. Beautiful facility with two studs right here. Coach Duke Baxter and Steve Nikorak. And this is another selfish video on my part. We're talking about T-ball, man. T-ball's tough. I got a 5-year-old son myself, but I want to know what you guys do with the youngsters, 4 or 5-year-olds who are playing T-ball. What are your best drills? What do you guys do?
Man, I think when you're dealing with that younger age, the first thing you have to do is keep it fun, right? You have to keep it fun and you have to keep it safe. So we're going to use a lot of smush balls. They're super soft, squishy balls, because so many kids, they don't know if their glove goes on the right hand or their left hand. Right?
That's true. That's true.
Some of them don't even come with the equipment that they need on. They're going to the field and you're like, oh man, here we go. And that's what T-ball is. So the first drill we're going to do is called Defend the Castle. Okay, so we're going to come over here with some smush balls. I'm going to roll some balls to Coach Steve, and he's going to defend the castle. So come on with us over here. So here we go, Defend the Castle. You got to think of some fun names. You can use a glove or no glove. It doesn't matter. We got some smush balls. So the castle is right behind them. You see those red buckets? That's the castle. That's what the kids have to defend. They love the drill. This is just to get them to move their feet, to get their hands out in front, and just stop the ball. They're going to forehand, backhand. They might dive. I don't think Coach Steve's going to dive, but so it looks just like this. You take 4 balls, and you just start tossing them. They move their feet. Then you're shuffling them over here. You're not letting them. Don't let it hit them. Come on, Coach Steve. And then you just mix up the pace. You keep it fun, and you're pretending like it's going to hit the castle, and they're just moving around, having a blast with it, and you know, it's fielding ground balls.
Let me ask you this about this drill, because let's be honest, we got 4 and 5-year-olds. If we do this and we've got 10 kids waiting in line for that, that's going to be a mess. So how do you break this down? Like, is this a station drill where you only have 2 or 3 kids at a time? How does that work when it comes to a practice?
Definitely a station. Everything we do is in stations. With these guys, like, their attention span is only so quick. So we do, 5-minute stations around the field, as opposed to 1 kid taking ground balls with 11 kids watching. That's when baseball and softball become boring. So create as many stations as you can, keep them moving, keep the stations quick, and you're still working on fundamentals, but doing it in a fun way.
That's awesome.
Hey, Coach Madden, you want to hear one other thing? you can turn this game into the warlord. The warlord is this. You do the same thing, you keep the castle in the middle, but picture it like a box. You have a coach on all 4 sides and 4 kids going at a time, and they're all defending the same castle. So when you have 8 kids, you have 2 teams of 4, 1 team of 4 is waiting for that. Boom, now it's their turn to go in. So you have 1 guy there, 1 guy here, 1 guy here, and a coach. So they're rolling balls, and I'm trying to, Coach Steve's over there, you're over there, and all of us are defending the same exact. So now you got 4 guys, same fun drill, and 4 kids going crazy when balls are getting by, and so it just kind of turns it into more. Now you took a fun drill and turned it a little bit more competitive, and you turned it up a notch, because we all know that when you start to compete at something, it kind of turns up the stakes a little bit, and now makes it a little bit more fun. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And you got to keep that high energy, right? You got to keep that high energy.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed that drill, and that was, again, just defend the castle. We took one simple drill, got asked another question, and turned it into a 4-on-4 competition. That's what we mean by being creative. Yeah, you can use hard balls, but since we were talking with T-ballers, and yeah, if they're older as well, you can spread them out more and do a 4-ball rapid fire drill with an actual bat. We did that yesterday with our high school team, and they're trying to defend the castle by diving, laying out for stuff. Like, we turned a simple drill into a much more competitive, fun drill. So we have another question, our last question. Coach Hyde, we need help with this one. Need your help, guys. Coach pitch defense of 1st and 3rd base running pressure. So not sure what you're asking with that. If they're in coach pitch, 1st and 3rd, like, they're not allowed to steal or anything here. So I'm not sure. I guess if you can email us, we're glad to email back and forth and talk about that kind of offline. So we want to thank everybody for being on the show, for watching us, for participating, for asking questions. Remember that it doesn't end here. What I mean by that is Coach Steve and I and the Dominate the Diamond team are looking at all the questions that are being asked. So if you didn't get a chance to watch this show live and you're watching it tonight sometime or even tomorrow, leave questions in the bottom and we'll make sure that we can create a video and we'll talk about it next week. Next week we'll be on the same exact time, 11 o'clock Eastern time, on Facebook. We're also going to be on YouTube as well. So if you haven't visited our YouTube channel, check it out. If you haven't visited our Instagram, you'll see all kinds of videos, short clips, reels of all different things. So again, check out our memberships, check out our courses. We give it away for free. We have a 7-day trial. Keep the questions coming. We want to help give you as many ways to help you on your coaching journey as possible, whether you're a T-ball coach or you're a seasoned veteran. We all can help one another. So Duke Baxter, Steve Nikorak, we're at Zone Sports Academy. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Thank you very much, and always remember to dominate the diamond. See you later, and thanks.